The stars above the outpost were silent, just like every other night. Located on the edge of known space, listening post 7 was small, quiet, and almost forgotten. The crew only had a few members, mostly doing routine scans and maintenance. They never expected anything exciting to happen. Until tonight, Nate sat in front of a glowing screen, sipping cold coffee, his eyes half closed from boredom. He was a civilian linguist, young, smart, and often ignored by the older officers. Most of the crew thought his job was useless until the strange signal came through. It started as a hum. Then came a voice. Nate straightened in his chair, nearly dropping his mug. The sound wasn't like any language he knew, but it wasn't random either. There was rhythm in the voice, a strange pattern like a message trying to reach someone. "Commander Lewis." Nate shouted. The commander walked in slowly, not expecting much. "What is it now, kid? I think someone's crying for help." Commander Lewis raised an eyebrow. "You mean a distress call?" "No, sir, not a normal one. This is something else. It's raw emotion. It doesn't match any known alien language, but the feeling behind it. It's fear, pain, someone's terrified. They played the signal again." The voice was shaky, high-pitched, and filled with a kind of sadness that made even the commander pause. The sound was distant and broken, but powerful. "Where is it coming from?" The commander asked. "Near the broken moon in Sector 91. No known colonies there." Nate replied, his hands moving quickly over the controls. Commander Lewis frowned. "Log it and send it to Earth Command." Nate hesitated. "Sir, that could take weeks. They might ignore it." "We follow protocol," the commander said. "But I'll add a personal note to the report. Maybe that'll push it up the list." The message was sent. Nate stayed awake all night, listening to the signal over and over. He tried to decode words, but none made sense. Still, every time he heard it, his chest felt tight. Someone was out there. And they were alone. On Earth, inside the United Fleets. Main Command Center, Admiral Claire sat reading the daily reports. Most were boring: pirate sightings, engine failures, supply requests. But one report made her stop. Emotionally charged unknown signal. The title read. She listened to the attached audio. For a long moment she said nothing. Then she played it again. She wasn't a linguist, but she was a mother, and she knew the sound of a child crying. She called a meeting. Soon, screens across the room lit up as generals, scientists, and advisors joined the call. Many were unsure if the signal was worth attention. Some called it a trick, maybe even a trap. "What do we lose by checking it out?" Admiral Claire asked. Silence followed. "We have dozens of scout ships out there doing nothing. We send one. You want to send human lives into unknown space. For a voice?" One general asked. "Yes," she said. "Because it's not just a voice, it's a cry for help. And if we don't answer, what does that say about us?" In the end, her voice carried the most weight. A small but advanced scout ship, the Meridian, was assigned the mission. Its captain, Ella Monroe, was known for being calm, brave, and loyal. When she heard the order, she didn't ask why, only when to launch. As the Meridian left orbit, Nate received a message. "We're heading to the signal. Thanks for speaking up." It was signed by Captain Ella herself. Nate smiled. He wasn't sure if they would find anything, but he hoped. The ship jumped through space, following the coordinates Nate had given. The broken moon came into view, a gray rock, cracked and quiet, orbiting a gas giant. Sensors picked up heat below the surface. Signs of life. "Commander," said Lieutenant Darren, "I've got movement." "Small shelters, about 30 life signs, no weapons." Ella leaned forward. "Get ready to land, quietly." They touched down near a rocky slope and stepped out in full gear. The place was cold and dry. Smoke drifted from cracks in the ground. Ahead, a small group of creatures stared at them with wide eyes, tall ears, thin arms, and large glowing eyes. Children hid behind adults. None spoke. Then, from behind the group, a small girl stepped forward. She held a round, broken communicator. Her hands trembled. She looked up at Ella and cried out the same sound from the message. Ella took off her helmet and knelt down. She reached out slowly. It was her, Darren whispered. She's the one who sent the cry. Just then, an explosion rocked the mountain. Red lights flashed from the cliffs, enemy ships. Get everyone back on board, Ella shouted. But the girl didn't move. She stood there, staring at the sky, eyes full of fear. And that's when Ella understood. Whoever these people were, they were being hunted. And humanity had just walked into something much bigger. Captain Ella's boots hit the rocky ground as the mountain shook again. Another blast echoed in the distance. Red beams lit up the sky above the cliffs. They weren't alone anymore. The alien villagers looked panicked. Some grabbed children and ran back into the caves. Others stood frozen, unsure what to do. The small girl with the communicator clung to Captain Ella's arm, her thin fingers tight and shaking. Lieutenant Darren, Ella shouted over the noise. Get the ship ready for evac. Yes, Captain, he yelled, running toward the landing zone. Ella looked around quickly. The Meridian was still safe for now, but the enemy ships were getting closer. She needed answers fast. She knelt beside the girl. Can you understand me? She asked slowly. The girl looked up, blinking. She pointed to her mouth and shook her head. Great, Ella muttered. No translator match? One of the older aliens, a tall male with silver lines across his face, stepped forward. He raised both hands slowly, showing peace. Then he pointed to the sky, then back to the caves, and made a motion of protection shielding. They want us to go with them, Ella said. The crew nodded. Let's go. They followed the villagers into the mountain tunnels. Inside it was dark, but the walls glowed faintly with soft blue light. Children whispered. Mothers held their babies close. Everyone looked scared. The tall male led them to a larger cave where others gathered. They had no weapons, no armor, just fear in their eyes. Ella tapped her wrist. Come. Scout Team Alpha to Meridian. We've made contact with a peaceful group. Repeat, peaceful. But unknown hostiles are approaching fast. Understood, came the reply. Should we prep defense? Ella looked around at the shaking villagers. No, we stay hidden. If they're hunted, so are we now. In the command center of the Meridian, Darren and the crew scanned the skies. Incoming ships, he said. They're not from any known fleet? The ships were black, jagged, and fast. They didn't even try to land gently. Instead, they fired at the rocky slopes and sent drones into the caves. Back in the tunnels, a loud boom hit close. Dust rained from above. The villagers screamed. Ella pulled the girl behind a large rock. They're here, she whispered. Fire echoed. The enemy drones entered the tunnels, scanning and searching. They were small, fast, and armed with stun blasters. Defensive positions. Ella ordered. Years passed since the incident on Vorak Station. The story of Eric and his quiet warning became part of galactic history. Ships from many species now carried the tale as a lesson in respect and caution. An alien historian named Laura traveled to Vorak Station to meet Eric. She was curious and careful. She wanted to understand the human behind the stories. When she found Eric, he was fixing a small engine in the station's workshop. His hands were steady and sure. He smiled when he saw her. You are the human who said those words, Laura said quietly. Eric nodded. That's what they say. Why do you speak like that? Why do humans say, now I'm actually getting annoyed in such a calm way? Eric paused and looked at the stars outside the window. It's because we have patience. We know that anger can make things worse. But when we say those words, it means we have reached our limit. It means we are ready to act. Carefully, but strongly. Laura listened closely. Does every human speak like that? No, Eric smiled. Most of us are calm and kind. But if pushed too far, those words come out. It is a warning, not a threat. A chance to stop problems before they grow. Laura thought about the wars, the peace, and the quiet power she had seen in humans. She wrote her report and sent it to the Galactic Council. Her message was clear. Humans have a unique way of handling conflict. Their calm warning is a signal to respect their patience and fear their power. When a human says they are annoyed, The best choice is to listen and step back. The council agreed. They passed new rules to teach all species about the human way. Diplomats learned to recognize calm words. Commanders trained their crews to respect human warnings, even children in schools on distant planets heard the stories. They whispered the phrase like a magic spell. Now I'm actually getting annoyed. In time, the galaxy changed. Species stopped challenging humans without thought. They understood that strength was not always loud or violent. Eric continued. His quiet life, he never sought glory or battle. But the galaxy knew his name. They knew the power behind his calm voice, and so, whenever a human says quietly, "Now I'm actually getting annoyed," the universe listens and wisely steps aside, because everyone has learned this truth. With humans, calm is power and annoyed means action is coming. Her team pulled out compact rifles and took cover. She signaled silence to the villagers. One drone flew past. Another paused near a child's hiding spot. Crack. A single shot from Ella hit it in the core. It sparked and fell. The noise brought more. Soon the fight began. Ella and her team used their training well. They moved with purpose, covering each other and protecting the villagers. They shot only when needed, avoiding noise when they could. The girl stayed close to Davin, a young soldier who shielded her with his body. She watched him fight, eyes wide with both fear and wonder. "They're just kids," Devin muttered. "They don't deserve this." Ella's wrist buzzed. "Captain, the enemy ships are landing. We need to move or we'll be trapped." Ella thought fast. "We can't outrun them, not with all these people." The tall alien male stepped forward again. He drew a symbol in the dirt circles, tunnels, and a far path. He pointed toward the deep end of the caves, a hidden way out, Ella guessed. "But can we trust it?" The girl touched Ella's arm and nodded, then pointed to her communicator. She tapped it 3 times, then placed her hand on her heart. Ella nodded back. "I believe her." "Move out," Ella ordered. Quiet and fast. The humans led the villagers deeper into the caves, following the secret path. Behind them, enemy forces searched, firing and shouting in a strange, sharp language. Hours passed in the dark tunnels. The team ran low on power, but they didn't stop. Finally, they reached the far exit and old tunnel leading to a hidden valley on the other side of the mountain. The Meridian circled around and landed quietly. "Get everyone aboard," Ella ordered. Fast, as the last of the villagers boarded, the girl looked back at the mountains. Smoke rose from the caves. Her home was gone. Devin placed a soft blanket around her. "We're not leaving you behind," he said gently. Onboard medics gave food and water to the villagers. The girl refused to leave Devin's side. Ella stood beside Darren, watching the stars. "We need to report this," Ella said. "These people were hunted. We don't know who or why, but Earth needs to know." "Should we call for backup?" Darren asked. Ella nodded. "Yes." "Send it all." Back on Earth, the message reached command. Video footage showed peaceful villagers under attack. It showed brave soldiers protecting strangers. It showed a small girl crying for help. Admiral Claire watched in silence. Then she stood and said 3 words, "Prepare the fleet." The Meridian hovered low above a quiet valley, hidden by tall cliffs and thick mist. Inside, the rescued villagers sat close together, wrapped in blankets, eating simple human rations. It wasn't much, but it was safety for now. Captain Ella watched as a medic treated Devin's arm. He had taken a hit from a falling rock while shielding the alien girl during their escape. "You should rest." Ella said, "I'll rest when they're safe," Devin replied, looking at the girl. She sat beside him, silent but calm. She hadn't let go of his jacket since the moment he saved her. Her name was Rilke. Ella had learned it from an old family crest stitched onto her cloak, matched with symbols carved into the walls of the cave. Rilke wasn't just any child, she was likely the daughter of a leader. Maybe even royalty. Ella called her crew to a small room for a quick briefing. They reviewed footage from their helmets, blasts, drones, fleeing villagers, and then the enemy ships. Sharp, black, and marked with strange glowing symbols. "These attackers? Darren said, pointing to one image. They're not in our records, not pirates, not part of any known alien government. They came fast, hit hard, and didn't. Ask questions, Ella added. This wasn't a war. This was a wipeout. But why? Asked Private Lena. Why attack peaceful people? No one had an answer. Ril Ka entered the room quietly, holding her broken communicator. She walked over to the wall display and pointed to a symbol. It looked like a circle with jagged wings. Then she drew a line through it with her finger. Enemy, Darren guessed. That's their mark, Ella nodded. Send this back to Earth. With our full report now. On Earth, the report was received by Admiral Claire. She stood in the fleet command room, staring at the image of Rilke on the screen so small. So alone, beside her stood Nate, the young linguist who first found the signal. Her name's Rilke, he said softly. And her message wasn't just random. She was saying goodbye. She thought no one would come. Claire looked at him, but we did. Nate nodded. Yes, and now we can't stop. The Admiral turned to her officers. I want full mobilization. Operation Silent Cry begins now. Prepare the fleet for departure. Alert every Allied ship in range. The order spread across Earth's military bases. Hangars lit up, engineers rushed to load supplies. Warships powered up one by one. Pilots reported for duty. Soldiers checked gear, armor, and weapons. The skies above Earth filled with movement. Back. On the Meridian, the crew was busy building a temporary shelter in the valley. They needed to stay hidden until help arrived. Rilke helped carry small items, trying to be useful. Devon watched her carefully, worried she might disappear. She's been through too much, he said. Gadla agreed. We all have. But she's still standing. That says something. At night, Rilke sat beside a small fire with Devon. She drew pictures in the dirt. One was of a tall tree. Another showed a circle of stars, maybe her village symbol. The last one showed humans and her. People standing together, that you and me? Devon asked, smiling. She nodded and added a sun above them. Meanwhile, the enemy ships weren't done searching. Karnak scouts flew over nearby hills, scanning for heat signatures. One passed near the valley but didn't spot them, thanks to the thick mist and low energy output of the Meridian. Ella knew time was running out. They needed backup soon. She checked the skies again. Then her wrist crackled. This is Fleet Command to Captain Ella. We've received your report. Operation Silent Cry is active. Reinforcements inbound. Ada, 36 hours. Ella smiled for the first time in days. Copy that, Command. We'll hold the line. The next morning, the crew trained the villagers to hide better, to listen for signals, and to follow orders if danger returned. Rilke helped translate with hand signs. She wasn't afraid anymore. She trusted the humans. Just before sunset, sensors picked up a faint signal, not from Earth. Not from the fleet. Enemy movement. 2 ships approaching fast, Darren said. We hold position, Ella said. No fights unless we're spotted, shields up, guns offline. We look like rocks. Everyone went quiet. They waited, breath held, as shadows passed above. The enemy searched. One ship slowed, almost stopping. Ril Ka reached for Devon's hand. The enemy ship circled once, then flew off. Everyone exhaled. They're still looking, Ella whispered. But they won't find us, not before our people arrive. Rilke stood and looked at the sky. She didn't cry this time. She simply waited. And somewhere, far across space, Earth's might was racing toward her. 36 hours felt like a lifetime in the hidden valley. Captain Ella and her team worked in shifts, always watching the skies. Enemy scouts came close twice, but the Meridian's camouflage held strong. The villagers stayed quiet, hidden under rocky shelters and thermal blankets. Inside the ship, Rilke sat beside Devon, her communicator in hand. It no longer worked, but she held it like something precious. Sometimes she pressed it to her chest and closed her eyes. Still hoping someone hears you? Devon asked softly. Ril Ka nodded. Then she opened the device and showed him a small crystal. Inside, it glowed faintly, like it still had a little life left. That's how your message reached us, Devon said, smiling. You saved your people. Rilke looked up at him and pointed to his heart, then hers. She smiled. Outside, Captain Ella stood with Darren and Lena, staring at the horizon. It was quiet, too quiet. What if they find us before backup arrives? Lena asked. Then we hold the valley, Ella replied. We've done it before, we'll do it again. Just then a sound filled the air, a soft rumble. Then another, louder this time. Incoming ships. Darren shouted. Everyone rushed to positions, ready to fight. But then came a message through the comms, clear, steady, and human. This is Fleet Carrier Nova Dawn. Reinforcements have arrived. Stand by. The sky split open as massive warships exited warp. One by one, they appeared like giants, sleek, powerful, and painted with Earth's colors. Destroyers, cruisers, and fighter squadrons filled the space above the valley. Cheers broke out from the humans and the villagers. Rilke jumped to her feet and ran outside. She pointed at the sky, eyes wide with joy. That's our people, Devon said proudly. Finally, Ella whispered. We're not alone anymore. The fleet didn't come quietly. Their arrival was a warning to anyone watching. Earth had heard the cry, and they had come in force. Soon, shuttles landed near the valley. Officers stepped out, followed by medics, translators, and supplies. Admiral Claire herself arrived in a transport, wearing full command gear. Captain Ella greeted her with a salute. You did well, Captain, Claire said. Your team saved lives, Ella nodded. But the threat's still out there. We know, Claire said, and we're ready. As teams helped the villagers into safer shelters, Rilke was taken for a medical check. She looked nervous until Devon walked in and sat beside her. You're okay, he said. They just want to help. A soft translator device was placed near her ear. For the first time, Rilke heard human words in her own language. Her eyes widened. You understand me now? Devon asked. Rilke smiled and nodded. Double quote. He said, because I've got a lot of questions. Back at the fleet camp, meetings were held. Ella, Claire, and other officers reviewed maps, ship data, and reports. The attackers are called the Karnaks, Claire said. No known contact before. They don't trade, they don't speak, they conquer. And now they know humans are here, Ella said. They'll come back stronger, Claire agreed, but we're ready. Plans were made. Scout ships were sent to follow Karnak's movements. Defenses were built around the valley. Energy shields were placed to hide it completely. Fighter squadrons patrolled above. Meanwhile, Rilke began sharing more through the translator. She told them about her village, the nearby cities the Karnaks had already destroyed, and how she escaped. Her father, a local leader, had died trying to protect their home. Rilke had run with the communicator and found the old signal tower in the caves. She didn't know if anyone would hear her, but she screamed anyway, and Earth had listened. That night a calm settled over the valley. Under the stars, soldiers stood guard while villagers rested safely. Rilke stood with Devon, looking up at the massive ships above. Why did you come? She asked. Because you asked for help, he said. You didn't know me, she whispered. We didn't have to, he said. You cried, and that was enough. Across the galaxy the message spread. Unknown fleets had attacked innocent lives, and Earth had responded, fast, strong, and without hesitation. Other alien races noticed. Some were impressed, some were afraid. But all now knew when a cry for help echoed through space, humans didn't turn away. They came with everything. The sky above the valley burned with light as Earth's fleet unleashed its power. Massive ships formed tight formations, shining silver and blue against the dark stars. Fighter jets screamed through space, fast and deadly. Captain Ella stood on the bridge of the Meridian, watching the battle unfold. The enemy fleet the Karnaks was bigger than anyone expected. Jagged black ships fired red beams, sharp and cruel, shields holding, but we're taking hits, reported Darren from the weapons console. Keep steady, Ella ordered. We fight for every life down there. Below, Rilke and the villagers watched the sky crack open with fire and thunder. The ground shook. Children hid behind their mothers. But no one screamed. They all knew Earth's fleet was fighting for them. Look at them, Rilke whispered to Devon. They fight for us, Devon nodded, because you cried out. And we heard. The battle was fierce. Karnak's fighters swarmed Earth's ships, trying to break their lines. But Earth's pilots were skilled and determined. Drones launched from the ships, attacking Karnak's vessels with precision. Target the enemy flagship. Ella commanded. The flagship was a giant black ship, shaped like a claw. It led the attack, sending waves of fighters. We hit them with everything, Darren said as he fired the main cannon. The beam struck the claw ship's side, lighting it up like a star. Alarms blared on enemy ships as they lost control. Karnak's ships started to retreat. They're falling back. A pilot cheered. Don't let them escape. Ella said. Fighters chased the fleeing enemy, while bombers launched missiles to destroy damaged ships. In the valley, Earth's ground troops prepared. Heavy walkers and tanks moved into position. To protect the villagers from any enemy survivors, Rilke stood with Devon, watching the battle rage above. She saw the fire, the smoke, and the courage in every human face. Will it end? She asked quietly. Devon looked at her. It has to. Then a sharp alarm sounded on the meridian. Warning! Unidentified ships approaching fast. Ella's eyes widened. More enemies? But these ships were different. Larger, shining with blue and gold. Symbols of a peaceful alien alliance. Friends. Ella breathed. The new ships joined Earth's fleet, attacking the Karnaks from behind. The enemy was trapped. This battle is ours, Ella said with relief. After hours of fighting, the Karnak's flagship exploded in a flash of light. The remaining enemy ships fled into the darkness. The valley was safe. Earth soldiers cheered. The villagers hugged each other. Rilke smiled for the first time in days. Captain Ella sent a message to Earth Command. The battle is won. The villagers are safe. The Karnaks are retreating. Admiral Claire replied quickly. Prepare for recovery and rebuilding. This is just the beginning. The villagers began to clear the ruins of their homes. Earth's engineers brought machines and supplies to help rebuild. Rilke stood with Devon, watching the sunrise. The sky was clear and bright. The war was over for now, thank you, she said softly. You saved us all, Devon replied. Dala looked at them both, proud and hopeful. Humanity had come to answer one cry and together. They had changed the fate of many. After the battle, the valley slowly returned to calm. Earth's soldiers worked side by side with the villagers, rebuilding homes and restoring what was lost. Machines dug foundations, while people planted new gardens and cleaned the debris. Captain Ella walked through the village with Rilke by her side. The girl looked stronger now. Her eyes held hope instead of fear. She showed Ella the small crystal she kept, the same one from her broken communicator. It glowed softly, a symbol of survival. This saved you once, Ella said gently. Now it's a sign of new beginnings. Rilke smiled but said nothing. Devon joined them, carrying supplies. He looked tired but happy. The bond between him and Rilke was clear to everyone. She trusted him completely. As the sun set, Earth's command sent more ships to the valley. Diplomats and scientists arrived, eager to learn about the villagers and their culture. Admiral Claire held a meeting with Captain Ella and other leaders. The Karnak's threat is not gone, Claire said. They will return, stronger and angrier. What can we do? Ella asked. We build alliances, Claire answered. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. Nate, the linguist who first heard the cry, joined the meeting via video. He shared translations of Rilke's language and stories from her people. His work helped Earth understand more about the villagers' past and the dangers they faced. Rilke stood nearby, listening quietly. One night, as the stars twinkled above, Rilke and Devon sat by a campfire. The village was peaceful for the first time in a long while. What will happen now? Rilke asked. Devon looked at the sky. We keep fighting. For peace, for you, for everyone who cries for help. She nodded, feeling brave. You are not alone anymore, Devon said. Humanity will stand with you. The valley became a symbol, a place where Earth's military showed its true power. Not just weapons or ships, but heart and courage. News of the victory spread across the galaxy. Alien worlds watched and whispered. Humans were no longer just explorers. They were protectors. Rilka looked out at the horizon, thinking about her lost home and the future. Thank you, she whispered to the stars. And far away, Earth prepared for what was coming next. The stars shone bright above the valley, now alive with new hope. Earth's fleet had returned to orbit, guarding the skies while the villagers rebuilt below. Captain Ella stood on the deck of the Meridian, watching the peaceful scene. Rilka walked beside Devon through the village square. Children played, laughter filling the air. The wounds of war were healing, slowly but surely. Do you think the Karnaks will come back? Rilka asked quietly, though Devon looked serious. Maybe. But we're ready? We won't let them hurt your people. Again, Rhea, an Earth diplomat, joined them. She smiled warmly. Rilka, your courage brought all of us together. You showed the galaxy what it means to call for help and what it means to be heard. Rilka blushed. She still felt small, but she knew the truth in Rhea's words. In the command center, Admiral Claire studied reports from nearby systems. The Karnaks were gathering strength, but so were Earth's allies. New treaties were signed with alien races. Impressed by Earth's quick response and honor, the galaxy is watching, Claire said to Ella. And humans have made their place, Ella nodded. We stand for those who cannot stand for themselves. One day, a message arrived from a distant star system, a call for help. This time, Earth's response was faster, stronger. The fleet moved with purpose, ready to defend peace wherever it was threatened. Rilka watched the ships leave, her heart full. She was no longer just a frightened girl. She was a symbol of hope. Your cry brought the might of Earth's military, Devon said softly. Rilka smiled. And now we stand together. The galaxy remembered that day, the day a small voice echoed through space, and humanity answered with fire, steel, and heart. The end.